Welcome everybody to Crease Talk. This episode I am joined by Joe Houlihan. What's up, Joe? How you doing? Of
What's going on, man? Thanks for having me.
course, brother. So, want to talk about your background to start off. So, for everybody who doesn't know, you're from Long Island, which is a hotbed, one of the major ones, probably between that and Baltimore. So, how has that kind of shaped you, coming from Long Island to kind of the player that you are now?
I think the biggest thing about coming from Long Island is just who you play against growing up. Just kind of like it eases the transition from every level at the game. So I was never kind of thrown into the lion's den, so to speak. I was always I almost like incrementally was getting better with
Mhm.
the competition surrounding me, playing at St. Anthony's with a bunch of great players, as well as Express in the summer. So I think the biggest influence was really just the people who were around me and who I was like playing against and with.
Yeah. Yeah, and then backing up just a bit, how was, kind of starting off with lacrosse in Long Island? How were you kind of introduced to the game and how did you kind of get, started off at close defense as well?
Yeah, so I actually moved to Long Island in first grade from Atlanta, and I played. I think it was I played baseball there in kindergarten, and then my older brother, when we moved to Long Island, just picked up a lacrosse stick and saw him playing, and just wanted to be like my older siblings. I just kind of picked up a stick. I actually started playing goalie to start, and I wasn't too bad, and then over time, I just kind of got away from it. I wasn't a fan. I guess shots were getting harder. It wasn't crazy like you guys. So I switched to, I think, MIDI, and I wasn't great at that, on it, if I'm being completely honest. And I already had the, I guess, defensive background with playing goalie. So they just kind of gave me a pull around, say, seventh grade is when I started playing close defense, and I've kind of just been going at it ever since.
Yeah. So kind of going forward after you kind of made that switch, did you have the expectations that this was kind of something that you wanted to do and play Division One lacrosse or play at a very high level?
Honestly, I didn't really know. I just enjoyed playing. I played football and basketball as well around this time, and I knew I loved playing sports, but I didn't have a clear direction into what I wanted to do in terms of college and where I wanted to go, and if I wanted to play Division One lacrosse. I'd say that kind of came around that I started getting more involved into it because obviously I'm playing summer league and everything. I wasn't doing all those extracurriculars in any of the other sports, so I was definitely on track for that. But I'd say I didn't know for sure until around my junior year of high school. I really knew I wanted to play Division One lacrosse.
Yeah, and then fast forwarding a little bit with that college decision and picking Loyola, how was that recruiting process? And kind of how did you end up on Loyola? It's a big choice.
Yeah, well, it's funny. I did not know what to expect September 1st when recruiting started. There was a bunch of college coaches at all of like my tournaments and things, but I'm on a team with a bunch of great players and top 50 in the country recruits. So I never really felt the pressure of like these guys are here for me, kind of. So
Yeah.
I didn't know what to expect or any interest level from like colleges and things like that. And it's actually funny, Loyola, like not knowing anything about what I'm getting into on September 1st, Loyola was the first school to reach out to me that night at 12 a.m., like on the dot. And I just couldn't believe it. And then a bunch of like other schools started kind of flooding in. And that kind of gave me, like I said, junior year is when I really decided, knew I wanted to play Division One lacrosse. It was that kind of confidence boost because I didn't
Hmm.
know where I was on the scale. Obviously, I was on like good teams and things like that. But that was kind of the boost. And then just what brought me to come to Loyola honestly was just the coaching staff. Like I wasn't I knew Loyola was a higher end lacrosse team, but I wasn't as familiar with the history and all the things. What really drew me to them or to Loyola were just the coaches, Coach Toomey, Coach Dwan, and just everything they stood for as like not only coaches but human beings as well.
Yeah, you kind of touched on it just a bit with, all the coaches, but what was something about Loyola that kind of stuck out in your recruiting process? I think you were the year right before COVID, so you got to visit, So what
Hmm.
was kind of like the one thing that kind of like drew you in and was like, this is the place for me.
Yeah, aside from just the coaches, I mean, I loved the campus and it was for me, it was just the honesty of them coming to me and telling me this is where I am on their board, like this is what they're doing and just kind of what they like about me and like Toomey said I'll never forget it in the thing is like we're telling you you're getting recruited. We're going to tell you what we like about you, and then when we get here, we're going to tell you what you don't like about you, and basically, and just try to develop me into like a better player. And honestly, and two, I'm a senior now in spring of my senior year, and they've lived up to that in every aspect. So I couldn't be happier with my decision.
Mm.
But the initial honesty to across the whole process was really what drew me to Loyola, as well as the high level competition.
Yeah, and then moving forward by your time at Loyola a little bit, you went from like freshman year not playing, and then sophomore year transition, started a couple games, started to get, the feel of it, and then junior year, got your opportunity to finally be in that starting lineup. How was that leading up to like what were some of the stuff that, kind of prepared you for that moment, and how did you really feel your first time kind of getting some legit minutes against teams like, Maryland Hopkins?
Yeah, for my freshman year and kind of the beginning of my sophomore year, I just kind of looked at it as obviously it's tough not playing, especially when you're used to playing your whole career and things like that. I just looked at it as an opportunity to learn, and I knew I wasn't a perfect player. I'm still not a perfect player. So it's just kind of working on how to get better every day. I mean, you're out on like whether you're playing on Sun or Saturdays rather or not, you're still out there at practice. So you have just as much of an opportunity to get better as everyone else, and I just try to have that mindset kind of going into it. Just try to get better every day, work on my weaknesses, and learning the defense and just kind of the speed of the college game.
Mhm.
And then just get finally getting out there. I mean, it's kind of I don't want to say night and day, but it is definitely a kind of an on switch of when you're on the field in games. It's definitely a faster speed. Everything's moving. Like your decision making is more important than ever, just because it has real effects on the season and the game, obviously. But it really, and honestly, same kind of way going back to like my recruiting, getting the phone calls, how that was a motivation for me to really want to play Division I lacrosse. When I got on the field, I just like kind of got a taste for it, and I never wanted to like kind of be off of it again. It was just so awesome and gave me something to strive for to stay on the field, essentially.
Yeah, and then moving forward to kind of this year, earning captain honors, what does that kind of mean for you as, working your way up from freshman year and, not really having even expectations to play Division I lacrosse to end up being, a captain at a premier program. How does that really feel for you?
Honestly, for me, the biggest honor, receiving captain, it was just such a huge honor. But for me, it was just uh that the fact that we do it from like a teammate from a team voting standpoint, and just the fact that the guys in the locker room voted for me as one of the four captains, that was really just moving for me, honestly. And I just really I felt like I have a voice, obviously a senior, and every senior everyone can be a leader, and especially the upperclassmen with a lot of freshmen coming in. And I always try to be a leader in some sense, and that just kind of I was very happy to hear that, and it was an honor to receive that.
Absolutely. And then kind of wrapping this up with one last question. What's kind of been your favorite, sports memory or sports moment in general? It can be anything from, your childhood, being a multi-sport athlete or, now at Loyola, what has been, that moment that's kind of stayed with you?
Well, I'll start with kind of not a real answer, but just kind of at Loyola, just all the away trips and team dinners and things like that. Those are just moments that stick with you. Obviously, the play on the field and practice and everything, but just getting closer with the team, especially I think it was my freshman year Patriot League tournament. We were at Boston. Didn't go the way we wanted it to, obviously, but just the bond you felt, and like me being a freshman and I have so much time, but seeing the seniors, which now I am, of just this is their last chance, like their last crack at it. It just kind of brought us all to close. It brought us all closer, and you see the real emotion of guys. Like obviously, seniors sometimes can like seem like scary, and but you really like they open up to you in kind of those final moments of like the season, especially after
Mhm.
the loss. And that those kinds of things always stick with me. And as for like a specific moment, has to be beating in high school, senior year. Didn't get to play junior year because of COVID, obviously. And then senior year, we beat Shamnad in the championship game, and that was just a perfect way to like cap off my high school career.
Yeah. All right, Joe. Thank you. Thank you for joining me, brother.
Of course, man. Thank you for having me.
Always.